Guys, today we're going to have part 2 or day 2 of lesson 6.5, which is finding percent of increase and decrease. If you don't have your notebook, go ahead and grab it. And Reagan, that means if it's another room or in your book bag, grab it. Otherwise, if you don't have it, just use paper. So right here we have this, which is going to be the key of what we do today. So I want you to pause the video and go ahead and record this. What this is to find the percent of change, you're going to make a fraction where the numerator is going to be the amount of the change. The denominator is going to be the original amount. And you're going to see this as we go through our examples. But this is the key to everything we do today. So we're going to make a fraction. What we'll do once we have a fraction is we'll remember that this bar right here is a division bar. So then we'll divide our fraction to make a decimal. From a decimal, all you have to do is move your decimal point 2 times to get your percent. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we're going to be going over today. So make sure you have this recorded down, and then I'm going to show you 2 examples, and we'll have you practice 2 as well. So the first example that we're going to do here relates to this table, which looking at the table, seeing it's the amount of time you spend online, I bet some of you have probably been online a little bit more than this, but we're going to use this data. It says the table shows the numbers of hours you spent online last weekend. What is the percent of change in your online time between Saturday and Sunday? So if you look here on Saturday, you spent 2 hours online. On Sunday, you spent 4.5 hours. The first thing you're going to ask yourself is, did we increase or decrease the amount of time from Saturday to Sunday? And the answer to that is that this was a percent of change that is an increase. So now we're going to use what I had you copy down from the last slides in my smart software. We're going to make our fraction. So this is what we're looking for. To get our percent of increase, we need to take our new amount and we're going to subtract what the original amount was. So the new amount is 4.5. The original amount was 2. And then the denominator is going to be the original amount, which that's what we started with on Saturday, 2. So here's what it looks like. I plugged it into those spots. All I need to do is simplify this fraction because the top, I need to take care of that. So I only have one number on the top. So 4.5 take away 2 is 2.5. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to divide this. So I'm going to do 2.5. divided by 2, and yes, you will want to use your calculator. That gives me a decimal. Well, what we need to do, once we have a decimal, if we're looking for a percent of increase, we have to move this decimal point 2 times to the right. So if we take the decimal, move it 2 times to the right, our answer would be 125%. So here it says, so your online time increased 125% from Saturday to Sunday. I think I get weekly reports on this on my iPhone about how much my screen time has gone up. And let's just say it's gone up drastically in the last couple weeks. The second example we're going to look at today has to do with a bar graph. So this bar graph shows a softball player's home run totals and what was the percent of change from 2012 to 2013 is what we're looking at. So I wonder if this might be Olivia's baseball. I think, Olivia, do you play softball? So for 2012, we've got 28. And then for 2013, we were at 20. So again, we're going to ask ourselves first, did that increase or decrease? And this one actually is going to be a decrease. So first I've identified that we have a percent of decrease. Now we're going to go ahead and plug it in to get our fraction. So here's what we're using. We're going to go ahead and do the original amount minus the new amount for this one because it's 28 is a larger number. So we have 28 minus 20, and then my denominator is 28. So I'll simplify the top. 28 take away 20 is 8, and I have this as my fraction. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I have to divide it. So I'm going to pull my calculator back out. And I'm going to do 8 divided by 28. And that gives us quite an impressive decimal. Now we know that we're going to take the decimal point, we're going to move it 2 times. So it'd be right here where my little cursor is. What we're going to do is we're going to round this to the hundredths place. So we're going to have to decide. So it's going to be 28 point. We have to decide if this is going to stay a 5 or if it's going to go up 1. So we're going to look at the number behind it, which is a 7. So with a 7 behind it, does the 5 stay a 5 or does it go up 1? And I can hear you guys probably saying, Mrs. Lundeen, it goes up 1. So we're going to round it, and it's going to end up being 28.6%. So that would be our answer. So if you have one that comes out to be a decimal, we will round it to the tenths place to get your answer. Now, sometimes people ask me, they say, well, Mrs. Lundeen, could you get a percent of increase or decrease that could be above 100%? And it definitely could happen. What you would notice, though, is if you were to get that, your numerator, when you do your subtraction problem, is going to be either as big as your denominator or bigger than your denominator. So if you have an improper fraction, that's going to tell you that you're going to end up with a percent that could be over 100%. So if you divide a decimal and you get, say you got 1.3, you would get 130%. So it is possible to have. So what I want you guys to do right now is I want you to try 2 problems. These both say find the percent of change, round to the nearest tenth of a percent if it's necessary. So these are the 2 that I want you to try. So I want you to go ahead and pause the video, try and make your fraction, and then turn it into a decimal, and then in turn make it to a percent. When you're ready, unpause the video and I'll show you the answers. All right, let's check. For number 1, did you get increase and that it was 150%? Number 2, did you get, it came out when you rounded it to about 14.0% or just 14%, and that one was an increase as well. Okay. What I'm going to have you guys do now using this new knowledge you have is to try a couple of these problems inside your Google form.